In this video, you will learn about 7 mistakes which were shared by 7-figure sellers, and these mistakes were collected and presented for us here by Gary Huang from 7-Figure Seller Virtual Summit. This event is happening in August 2020. You will find the links below. If you watch this video a little bit later, you can still access these sessions in one way or another. And before you watch the conversation, don't forget to subscribe below to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik. Click the notification bell, because here we talk to different Amazon experts, software creators, and event organizers. And now enjoy this conversation. Hello, Gary. Nice to have you here.
Hello, Augustas. Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Gary Huang from 7-Figure Seller Summit is our guest today, and we will talk about 7 mistakes which big sellers are doing. But before that, Gary, can you introduce yourself, what you are doing in Amazon space?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I'm an Amazon seller myself. And in the past, I used to go to many in-person conferences just so I can learn more, right? But about 2 years ago, my wife and I just started to start a family. So my wife was pregnant about 6 months with our first child, and I couldn't fly to these events like before. So I thought, why not invite these 7-figure sellers to me virtually online to teach me and to teach everyone else. So that's kind of the genesis behind the 7-Figure Seller Summit. We launched it first in 2018, and now we're going to have the third one in 2020. So, I really love that quote by Jim Rohn. He said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So especially right now during the pandemic, it's very difficult for us to have in-person meetups and events. So I decided to, invite, everyone to attend the 7-Figure Seller Summit so they can level up, with these $1 million Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers. That's kind of the story behind it.
And besides that, you're also expert in sourcing from China, right?
Yes. So I was born and raised in the U.S. That's why I speak with an American accent, or some people say no accent. But obviously my face is Asian. I'm Chinese American. I'm second generation. In 2008, I moved to Shanghai, and I found a job in sourcing with a consulting agency. And I worked there for about 8 years. I'm fluent in Mandarin Chinese. I helped many of my foreign clients, and I managed their multi-million-dollar sourcing campaigns. I visited hundreds of Chinese factories in person. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly sides. So with my website, 80/20 Sourcing, I offer a blog, and my philosophy is like I'm teaching people how to fish, how to do like the sourcing, best practices, mistakes to avoid, rather than just like doing it for you, like feeding a fish. So that's 80/20 Sourcing.
All right, so let's go into those 7 mistakes which big whales or big fishes of Amazon businesses are doing. So let's see what you have learned from them by interviewing different sellers.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for having me, Augustas. And I noticed that, as I was interviewing, I think now over about 70 7-figure sellers and e-commerce experts, there were, a lot of best practices, but at the same time, there were some common mistakes. And, there's that saying that goes, a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So hopefully today I can share some of these mistakes, and some of them I've made myself as well, to try to, help the other people out. Okay. And just to let you guys know about the format of the summit, because there's 5 different phases, and these mistakes actually, they coincide with the different phases of scaling your business to 7 figures. So some of the mistakes have to do with like the mindset, like the fundamentals. Some of them have to do with marketing and branding. Some of them have to do with like scaling your business upwards, profitability, and also exiting your business. Okay, so mistake number 1, or I like to call it maybe like the 7 deadly sins that people may commit on the way to 7 figures. Mistake number 1 is wasting tens of thousands of dollars building your first product when you could have tested it cheaply. Okay, so this is kind of like a mindset or fundamental. So I interviewed 7-figure e-commerce entrepreneur Jason Vandergrint, and he's a Canadian entrepreneur. He took a trip to Mexico, Carmen del Rey, many years ago, and he noticed that at that time people were buying sunglasses like crazy. So at this time, this was when apps were at the peak of their popularity, blowing up on the App Store. So Jason decided to build an app that allowed people to take selfies and automatically superimpose like different sunglass types on themselves, and then if they like them, they could buy them through his app. Okay, so he figured if you build it, they will come, and then he spent $20,000 developing this app, based on this idea that he had. And he was able to rank it quite high in the App Store. But after that, he sat back. He didn't do much market research. And at that time, there were many different places to buy sunglasses online, and the pricing was very cheap. So in fact, comparable listings on eBay, sold at like half his price. So at the end of the day, he ended up with like a 2% margin, which obviously wasn't enough to sustain a business, and he was forced to shut it down. So the lesson learned was that, Jason, he admitted, what I should have done is, build like a simple website, sell the glasses 33% off and see how many people buy. Okay, so this is like a minimum viable product that would validate whether or not his idea would work, rather than having to spend $20,000 and believing that money will come. So he shared that now what he does, he only uses like $200. So he uses GoDaddy, he purchases a cheap site, he builds a simple website there, and then he uses Facebook ads to drive traffic to, like 100 people to quickly validate whether the idea would work. Okay, so this would save you like $20,000, like that he spent. And then similarly for e-commerce sellers, there's tools out there now, like PickFu, for example. They let sellers quickly split test, A/B test, different product images, designs, packages, copywriting, and even like color variation. So if you're thinking about launching like your new product in like a new color, you can actually split test that, against like a real Amazon customer audience. You can get like 50 responses from real buyers in less than 30 minutes. Okay, so that's another way that you can try to reduce your risk rather than have to, committing to that $20,000 order. And then similarly, I interviewed seven-figure seller Dave Bryant, and then he says now when testing out new products, rather than placing a single large order of $20,000 in one product, it makes more sense to place smaller bets. Okay, orders of like $2,000, $3,000 here. So this way, rather than one big order, you have like smaller bets. Maybe you have like 6 orders. Okay, so you have like 6 opportunities to launch different products, increase the chances of one or more of them succeeding. So this is the first mistake when it comes to don't waste your money. You can quickly test them cheaply and quickly.
Yeah, talking about testing, also those who are watching, you will find in the top of this video the link to the PickFu demonstration, where Anthony from PickFu is showing how to work with this platform. It's quite interesting. We tested some of the thumbnails for our videos. It was interesting to see the results. All right, so let's go to the mistake number 2.
Yeah, and mistake number 2 is growing too fast and losing focus when scaling your business. Okay, and I spoke with seven-figure seller Brandon Dukesky, and he was one of the largest sellers on eBay in the 2000s, and he was named e-businessman of the year by Alibaba. Okay, and he was doing some serious sales, e-commerce volumes, until it came to like a screeching halt in 2006. When his business went belly up, he's forced to declare bankruptcy. So Brandon, in his session, he shared that he lost focus. He wanted to be the biggest seller on eBay, and he had 100 employees. He was hiring at the rate of like 7 people per week. He's fulfilling over like 1,000 orders a day from his own warehouse. And he also got distracted. He acquired 2 smaller businesses, and he said he spent $500,000 on software code. Okay, so throughout this process of rapid growth, Brandon lost control and he kind of lost focus, and his business was bleeding money. Okay, so he lesson learned from his mistake in his masterclass on the Seven-Figure Seller Summit. How to create one person selling $1 million in 1 year and working smart for only 1 hour per day. In that lesson, Brandon shared that from this mistake he learned to focus on profit. Okay, so in other words, the profit law says that you should work smart. Okay? You should work smart and not hard, not just hard. You should focus on the tasks that make you money and not just like moving the money. So you're probably thinking, Augustas, what's the difference between the task making money or moving money? So let's start with moving money. Moving money, for example, includes tasks like listing an item, answering customer emails, shipping an item, maybe receiving money, social media marketing, etc. If you focus on these things, you're not working smart, according to people like Brandon Dubsky. On the other hand, making money tasks include finding new market and product opportunities, defining your unique selling proposition, building your brand and your brand value, developing the market strategy, monitoring your metrics and adjusting to that, and recognizing new trends and external factors so you can pivot your business. And he also learned that rather than hiring dozens of employees, renting a physical warehouse, he can lessen his risk and expenses by outsourcing to a team of virtual assistants and fulfillment and warehouses. So this really reduces expenses and improved his cash flow and made his business more nimble to market fluctuations. And not only that, he also learned to build a moat around his business. So if you think of like a castle with that water around it, like a moat around his business to make it less copyable, especially by Chinese sellers. He did this by building his brand, featuring Brandon himself, like his own, he put his own face in it, and also his family, his kids. So for example, he sells, for example, headrest DVD players in like vans and TVs. So he created installation videos featuring himself to add personality, to add a connection that his competitors couldn't easily copy. Okay, so by doing this, Brandon was able to rebuild his business and then meet his 1-1-1-1 goal, where he built a one-person, $1 million business in 1 year, which only required 1 hour of work per week. And then in his spare time, he's able to spend time with his family and travel the world, at least before the pandemic. So let's move on to number 3, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
This has to do with marketing now. Number 3, the third mistake is not monitoring pay-per-click close enough, or PPC. Okay, and a number of 7-figure Amazon sellers that I spoke with have admitted they don't monitor PPC ad campaigns close enough, and this is one of their costliest mistakes. Okay, in the last summit, John Cavendish, who's a 7-figure Amazon seller selling in Europe, he taught how to scale your business to 7 figures in 12 months by selling in Amazon EU. He admitted he lost $10,000 in 2 weeks because he didn't pay close enough attention to his advertising campaigns. Okay, and then similarly, Stefano Starkill, he's a 7-figure seller as well, and he's the founder of Zon Tools, and he likens this mistake to paying an idiot tax. Okay, so in other words, only idiots who don't have a process of reviewing and monitoring the ad spend have to pay this premium. Okay, so he explained that you really have to use your brain when it comes to your keyword selection. Okay, and then he recommends that you be very methodical, once a week, to download your Amazon search term report, filter out the search term with sales, and then manually go through them one by one and ask yourself, is this relevant or is this not? In other words, if someone's searching for this term, like, do they have the intent to buy or not? Or if they don't, maybe it's just like a keyword, a popular keyword that may not be relevant. I've made this mistake before. You could, if you target like some of the popular keywords with zero buyer intent, you're going to pay the idiot tax. And I've actually made this mistake myself. Okay, so as a further side effect, these non-relevant keywords, they're going to hurt your overall conversion rate as well. And as you probably know, Augustus, conversion rate is one of the metrics that Amazon's A9 algorithm uses to rank. So the lower your conversion rate, it can actually lower your ranking, and that will hurt you. So not only will monitoring your PPC help you reduce unnecessary spending to save you money, this will also improve your conversion rate, improve your ranking as well, which leads to more sales. So that's mistake number 3.
Cool. Yeah, thanks a lot. I remember John Cavendish I interviewed for one of my virtual summits in the past. He was in Vietnam at that time, I remember.
Yeah, he's still in Vietnam now.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
All right. What's the next?
Excellent. So moving on to mistake number 4 is not knowing your numbers. This has to do with profitability. Okay. I spoke with Nate Ginsberg, and he exited he systematically built and scaled an Amazon private label business and sold it for nearly $1 million a few years ago. But then he shared that the journey wasn't all smooth sailing. in his masterclass on From Scale to Sale, 6 Steps to Building an Automated Business, that you can sell for 7 figures. He admits that when he first entered the Amazon Europe markets, he was not on top of his finances and projections. He started in the US, but when he went to Europe, he wasn't on top of the numbers. Okay. So for example, when he first entered EU, he was not clear how VAT or VAT was calculated. So as a result, he launched a bunch of new products that were not profitable. And then this resulted in a big mess and a headache to clean up. And this mistake ultimately led Nate to make sure he was on top of his finances. So Nate shared that when launching a product, you have to run your numbers and you cannot eyeball it. And then you have to know your exact costs, your exact margins. And then this is one thing that you cannot 80-20. This is the one time the 80-20 rule does not apply. Okay. So Nate recommends performing a ruthless profit and loss review, or P&L. Take a look at what software you don't need, what you can pay for in bulk to save get some discounts, what vendors you can negotiate lower pricing for and better deals for. So according to Nate, businesses sell at about a 30x monthly multiple of profit. So every $1,000 you cut in expenses, that will add an additional $30,000 to your selling price. Okay, so that's why knowing your numbers is very important. Okay, so that was mistake number 4.
Yeah, perfect. Let's go to the mistake number 5.
Yes. Okay. Mistake number 5 is one of the cardinal sins. Okay. Running out of stock. Okay. This is a problem with inventory management, and virtually everyone has experienced this problem. And, even especially right now, going into the fourth quarter at the time of this recording, Amazon is, changing up their IPI, the Inventory Performance Index, as you probably heard. And you have to manage this even better. So again, I've spoken to many sellers. I've made this mistake. Running out of stock, that's the number one thing that will lose money in your business and affect your sale price. And as I was speaking again with Nate Ginsburg, he says that ultimately this comes down to inventory management. You have to be very organized when it comes to trending, planning your order forecast, and also looking at your upcoming your sales, especially with Q4. You have to anticipate the spike, and then you also need to have a safety buffer as well. Okay, so the key is you have to be very organized, and you may even need to delegate this out if you yourself cannot handle this. So why is this such a big problem? Because if you're running out of stock of your inventory, that's several months of zero. So if you want to exit your business, that really hurts you, because it's crippling you from your maximum growth and your maximum potential. Okay, so that's mistake number 5, running out of stock. Okay, so let's move on to number 6 then. Number 6 is not building a moat around your business to keep the competitors away. Okay, so but in terms of building a moat, there's many ways that you can do this. Okay, one of them is to build a brand. Okay, and I was speaking with Dave Huss, and then he manages Facebook ads for many 7-figure and 8-figure sellers. And then he says that building a brand, or specifically building a list on Facebook, it's kind of like bringing a gun to a knife fight. So if you remember like those old Indiana Jones movies where, Indiana Jones was in like the bazaar, the Middle Eastern marketplace, and then there was the bad guy with the swords. He was like doing all the fancy sword stuff. And then what does Indiana Jones do? He just pulls out his gun, right? And then he shoots the guy dead, right? So having, building a brand, having a list on Facebook, for example, according to Dave Huss, by doing this, you can launch a lot more easily. You can rank a lot more easily. You can get more reviews. It's almost like an unfair advantage if you do this. So, building a list, building a brand, that's one way to build a moat around your business to keep the competitors away, because, many of the competitors are not willing to do that. Number 2 is trademarks, getting a trademark, and then, qualifying for brand registry. So that's another way to, build a moat around your business. Many of the competitors, may not be willing to do that. And then you also, for the people that want to like try to, hijack, if you have your trademark, you're in a lot stronger position to defend yourself. You can, send a cease and desist letter to them, when it comes to stuff like that. Furthermore, there's other ways that you can protect your brand in terms of IP or intellectual property protection. You can file for patents, to protect, people from stealing your idea. And again, if anyone tries to copy you in that sense, if they're infringing on your patent, you can ask them. You can ask Amazon to get the listing taken down. And then furthermore, another interesting way of building a moat around your business is with tooling. So I know a lot of people kind of shy away from, expensive tooling fees, anything that's, or like molds when it comes to, developing your product, especially in China. But several seven-figure sellers that I've spoken with actually have the opposite mentality, because they feel like, the fact that I can invest, like $5,000 or $10,000 in a mold, and obviously, if that's under my position, nobody else can build the same thing. I mean, like most of the competitors are not willing to invest that kind of money, right? So that's another way that you can try to, build a moat around your business, because you have that custom mold that, other people cannot just like, get and find on Alibaba for that type of product, right? So these are all ways that you can build a moat around your business to keep competitors away, because, now in 2020, it's even more competitive than before. And then e-commerce, it's really exploding now, especially with the pandemic, and you still have so many other like Chinese sellers coming in. And so that's why it's very, big of a mistake if you're not building a moat around your business.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks. And the final, number 7.
Yes, last but not least. Okay, so this final mistake, this has to do about exits, because that's like the end game for a lot of these sellers. And many of these sellers said that over 50% of their their take home, it came from the sale. Not from when they were running the business, but from the sale. Okay, so you really have to do this right if that's your goal. Okay, so I was speaking to one of the 7-figure sellers. I had Mike Jackness. So he runs multiple brands, and in his session, he admitted probably his biggest mistake when he sold one of his brands, Color It. He was transparent with the brand on the talk, so I'm not revealing any like inside information. So with his exit with Color It, he said that his mistake was having all of his brands in a single Amazon account when trying to sell a business, okay? Because he had multiple brands under one Amazon account. And then this was a mistake. Why was it a mistake? Because the fact that he had several brands lumped together, this was detrimental to the sale, and then it cost him a lot of time and money, okay? So first off, the buyer was only interested in one of his brands, Color It, while he had several brands, other brands under the same account, okay? So as a result, what did he have to do? Mike had to go through a very time-consuming and very costly process to create 3 brand new LLCs, basically 3 brand new limited liability companies, and 3 new Amazon accounts, getting Amazon's permission, of course, before he could sell Color It, okay? So, I mean, that obviously is a huge nightmare. I mean, think about it. I mean, he's doing 7 figures and he had to create a new account and, new companies. I mean, that's just a nightmare. Okay, so lesson learned. In retrospect, Mike believes if everything was separated from the start, he could have gotten another 0.5x multiplier on that sale. Okay, that would have meant tens of thousands of dollars or more that was potentially left on the table because his brands were not separated from the start. Okay, and then moreover, Mike Jackman, he recommends to look at each business as a separate P&L, like a separate profit and loss. You really know your numbers. You're not mixing things together, which could hide potential problems. Okay, so this is the number 7 mistake when it comes to selling your business. Try to separate your different brands into different companies and different accounts. That would just make things a lot more easier for you to exit.
Yeah, thank you for this. I think this last one is quite interesting because a lot of people, they start selling on Amazon and maybe they are trying 2 different niches at the same time, separate products, 2 different brands. And of course, they don't even think to now juggle with 2 different accounts, especially if you're just starting and you want to see how it works. But then maybe it's a good reminder, like if it's going well, already plan that in few months just separate these 2 brands if they are working well on that one account. Yeah, but it's probably a very usual mistake for like those who are starting this business because they just want to check and test and find a winning brand.
Yeah, you're right, Augustus. That's why I feel it's so valuable, to interview these 7-figure sellers, because they've been through, they're there where you want to be, right? So it makes sense. Like if they've already traveled the journey, we try to study them, so maybe we can avoid some of those pitfalls. And something like what happened to Mike, I think, it could help a lot of people as well. You know, with the stuff that we did at the Seven Figure Seller Summit, it's basically just like the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this was just like my own personal like favorite mistakes, if you want to put it that way. I mean, at least in terms of benefiting me and wisdom for my business. But we're running the new summit in August 17th through the 21st. We're having 30 speakers. We have 30 speakers confirmed already. Similar format, 5 days. Talking about the 5 phases, like starting with the mindset, the fundamentals, then moving on with the marketing and branding. And then we're going to talk about scaling, profitability, so you can keep more money in your pocket. And also talking about exits, from sellers that have done it, like 7-figure sellers. Even, we brought in a 6-figure seller. He talked about how he killed his golden goose, and, like his, kind of his impressions, like, what he was happy about, but what he kind of regretted as well. So, to try to give like a real perspective, because I think a lot of people may be at different levels and it could help.
Yeah, thanks for this. And as a reminder, this is a virtual event put by Gary, 7-Figure Seller Summit, which links to that you will find below in the description of this video. We're not telling the dates because if you're watching a bit later after this event is finished, you will see anyway, if you follow that link, you will see the opportunity to access in one way or another these sessions. But if you will tune in on time when it's going live, you will have a possibility to watch most of the sessions for free, right?
Yes. If people want to get a free pass, they can watch for 24 hours. So all the sessions will be live and available for 24 hours.
But
and then there's also the option to upgrade if they like to the all access pass. We have additional speaker bonuses, more training videos, and also you get the audios as well if you want to listen while you're on the move.
Perfect. Yes. How many interviews there will be there?
We have 30 confirmed so far.
30. Wow.
So at least 30.
Can you name some names which we know?
Absolutely. We have Liron Hirschkorn, we have Brandon Young, we have Greg Mercer confirmed, Tim Jordan, and these are some of the more popular speakers. But we also have some very interesting speakers that some people may not have heard about. We have Egla from Estonia. We have Varun from India. He's a 7-figure seller. Doing it in India. He's talking about what the difference about the marketplace. I think it's very interesting. But we also have some other experts as well. We have like a seller accountant, Tyler Jeffco. He works with like 7 and 8-figure sellers. He really dives deep into like the profitability, the numbers. So I think there's something for everyone. Whether you're an advanced seller looking to level up, or if you're someone just looking to get started, I think it's good aspiration for you guys as well. And everything is, the content is fresh. It's post COVID, the new world that we're in, and the adjustments you have to make. But I think on the whole, as you probably agree with the fact that we can continue running our e-commerce businesses despite COVID, I think e-commerce is kind of like the silver lining when it comes to the whole pandemic. There's a lot of negativity, like every day you see on the news, and I'm just trying to at least bring some positivity and light to the darkness. And I'm also scratching my own itch because I'm a seller myself as well. So I'm kind of selfishly doing this, but I'm trying to help others as well. So that's kind of the summit, the 7-Figure Seller Summit. And thank you again, Augustas, for inviting me on. Hopefully this content is helpful to your audience as well. And I'm just happy to be here.
Sure. Thank you very much, Gary, and good luck in your business, and see you in the virtual summit, 7-Figure Seller Summit. Links below. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
I do hope this video was useful for you, and don't forget that you will find below the links to the 7-Figure online event, 7-Figure Seller Summit. And as always, don't forget to subscribe below to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik. And now I also suggest you to watch another video which will grow your sales to 7 figures. Hopefully. Bye-bye.